And welcome back to another LinuxGameCast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, Unity 3D Editor officially enters closed beta. Dozens of users reportedly excited. Do you want to help test Skullgirls? Too bad! No soup for you. And Feral drops a hint about their latest game that everyone kind of guessed in like the first 5 minutes.
Some people learn about two-factor authentication the hard way. Valve has taken all our money, and now we get to put a number to that. And Battle for Wesnoth needs help. But could this spell the end of open source gaming?
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard, and Shadow of Mordor gets a Linux release. The Cats, the Cradle, and Robot Girls, former Stalker developers, bring you a Myst with the side of Minecraft. And the Radeon SI open source drivers finally catch up to Nouveau, which makes me wonder, what the hell is Intel doing?
Distance goes first person. Bumper cam no more. You can get in the driver's compartment like an actual digital simulation person type thingy. 6 months from Kickstarter to computers. Shadowrun Hong Kong gets a release date. And how do you milk a good thing for more money? You release a director's cut. NXile keeps milking it for all the good of humanity in the post-apocalyptic wasteland. But at least they let us know when.
I'm Vince Stone here at LJC Actual, switching the bits, doing all this nightmare fuel here in Athens, joined every week by our tame Canadian podcaster, Master Sfeg.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, sweet. And all the way from space, Portugal, Pedro Ayers.
Why, hello.
And living proof that you can indeed buy your way on this show, Mr. Empty himself.
Hi, guys!
And together
totally
with
his
Shout
real
Realm
Twitter, too.
Dynamic, we form a bit of a cocaine vulture. Before we get started, we'd like to see what's going on in each other's life organs. Gentlemen, let's play this game. I'm going to start out two things on this end. The first thing is I secretly switched our 128 kilobit MP3 audio with 90K because, dragons are getting a little bit expensive, but no one's complaining, so I gave it a week, and I was like, okay, that's going to be a thing. Second thing I'm going to say is a bit of a pro tip, which this might not happen in your area of the world that your current body organ resides in. People asking for money. I got hit up for some petrol cash. I was going to local convenience stores to pick up a few bits before the show, and two people were sitting outside. And I was like, okay, that's the thing. I get out of Turbo Jetta, and I was like walking in. Lady walks up to me and she's like, hey, our car is out of gas, but it's out of gas at the convenience store, which is directly across from this one, which is a real thing. So could you get some cash? I don't have any cash on me, but I'll tell you what, let's just walk over there right now and I'll just get it for you. Come on, let's go. And I just started walking. She's like, no, that's not necessary. It's like, right, shut the fuck up, die in a fire. Seriously, if you're going to ask, I understand sometimes it might be tough and all that. Just come at, be like the Oz, man. Hit you direct. Just like, hey, man, can you spare some change? I might have spared some change. That's the thing. What's up, J-Baby?
Oh, not much. I mean, we had the thing where MP and I learned the whole editing process, so now we can pump out these Portal 2 videos of various combinations of people. It should be good. I think the next episode was going to be Empty and Pedro. I don't recall. But we're going to get to that next month when we're due for the episode. Nothing really has been going on for me. Aside from that, yeah. But how's your sex like, Mark?
Yeah, my sex life is good. My luck when it comes to hardware, not so much. I bought the GTX 970 a couple of months later. It's only 3.5 gigs. Then I bought an NVIDIA Shield tablet, and this week I learned that this thing right here is a fire hazard.
BAM!
And
it just explodes. Yes.
NVIDIA was like, yeah, so the batteries kind of tend to overheat and can cause a fire, so just fill out this form, we'll send you a new one. And I'm like, do I have to ship that thing back to the US? Because that's going to be pretty stupid expensive. They're like, no, you only have to send it back if you're in the US or Canada or whatever. If you're in Portugal, we're just going to brick your tablet remotely when you activate the new one. Okay. So I'm getting a new tablet, it seems.
Cue the tentacles.
I'm sure there's some way around there.
Gotta be a way. So, in the course of doing my diligent research for the show, I managed to find myself on the Wikipedia page for hentai. I don't know what I expected, but man, did I not expect that. So,
Was there hentai there?
there might have been examples of all the different types of hentai that...
Have you ever read a sexuality article on Wikipedia? Because they have pretty thorough illustrations.
I have. I had not mentally prepared myself for this, and I felt dirty. No, actually, I enjoyed it a lot. I was
Something
like,
that is always
get me some of that.
prepared every week is a horse, J-Man.
Yeah, the horse is filthy this week, and the horse needs to learn that if you have a second randomized password you can enter at login, your account will be infinitely more secure. It's on Steam!
Update!
Yes, and some poor enterprising fools have learned that if you don't turn on Steam Guard, your account will get taken over. There was a pretty nasty password reset exploit that basically let you bypass, if you didn't have Steam Guard set up, you could just bypass the password restore feature and get into people's account. And that was pretty bad. And if you did not have the periodic check, oh, hey, you're logging in from some random area or some IP or some browser we don't recognize the fingerprint of, we're going to make you enter a password. If you don't have that turned on, and if you're not using the little appy thing that drains your battery but gives you a secondary password for Steam, you're basically at risk.
Okay, I think we just need to be honest with each other, ladies and gentlemen. How many people have two-factor authentication cut on? Because I don't. I was just
I
lucky.
do.
I definitely do.
It's a pain. Okay, I will admit it is a royal pain in the ass. But at the same time, if you think your password is secure, you're wrong.
Yeah, it
And-
is.
and
And
just store it.
it's just an email that you get with teeny tiny code that you have to punch in whenever you're logging in from a new computer or a new install. It's easy enough.
Sure, it's a little bit annoying, but again, that's
Yeah.
what security is. You have to deal with the inconvenience for the knowledge that, hey, at least I won't get owned this week.
Empty, are you feeling
Uh,
bad for them?
No, no two-factor plus getting hacked equals zero sympathy.
Well, personally, I'm surprised with Steam having that issue since they're rolling in all the cash.
Oh, yes. So, apparently, in the year 2014, year of our Lord 2014, Steam has
Ramen.
made $730 million. Now that's a lot of money. This is this is
No.
from,
These are estimates. These are estimates.
And
Yeah,
they do
rough
admit this is a
estimates.
conservative estimate on their part. But this is covering Team Fortress 2, Dota 2, and really it's just
Counter-Strike Go.
documenting all the various sources that fill the swimming pool full of like literal cash that Gaben does the breaststroke through every morning before heading off to work. But I mean, okay, let's do some bad math here though, because if we assume that 1% of those purchases were from Linux sales, that's 7.3 million. That's not a lot. That's not really something you want to scoff at if you're a developer. With actually, it's probably a little less than that, just because the what do you call it? Roommate actually got the hardware survey, and the latest stats seem to have that with Linux at 0.83%. So we're falling. That's not too good though.
Well, I mean, I can't
but
really
guys-
argue before we get into that. Hang on just 1 second, Empty. Is Steam OS is still in beta. They're still working on
Yep.
it. I mean, we haven't seen our
Yeah.
flood of Amazeballs titles come like directly into our eye organs. What were you on about, Empty?
So I was doing some math, and I totally figured it out. right?
Okay.
You take
Alright.
3 for Half-Life 3,
Right.
and you raise it to the power of 3 times 2 times 1 for all the Half-Life games,
Uh-huh.
you get almost 730 million, which means Half-Life 3 is confirmed. It's going to happen.
Zomfronix!
Bad math.
Up next,
They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
Hashtag squeeze.
And we're playing Talion from
it's
Middle
about
Earth.
fucking time.
Yes,
Show
he's a ranger
title.
from the Black Gate, and now he runs across the Linux landscape. Ported by our good friends over at Feral, you can now enjoy one of the latest Warner Brother games because, yeah, we needed some AAA publishers on Linux, and Warner Brothers have kind of stepped up. And here we have it. It's
Well-
currently 50% off for the next 42 hours. So
You can also
Buy
grab it
direct from
from Feral, yeah.
yeah,
They will also give you that 50% off. But you can't enjoy it if, like Empty and myself, you have a Fubin-based processor because it is missing some instruction sets. If you there's
some
actually
piece of SSE. It's
yes
not there.
SSE 4 apparently
0.1 or
was-
0.2 because mine doesn't have SSE4 either. That's an Intel thing. It's either 4.1 or 4.2.
Or
But either way,
SSE3.
SSSSS tricky.
Triple S E3.
But-
yeah.
No, Feral has acknowledged this. They have a forum post in their Steam forums, and they are working on a build that does not use this particular instruction set. So hopefully, we should be getting this playable in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, the
Fingers
review we're
crossed.
giving them is not going to be too positive. No, sir.
Well, I
Actually-
actually got to play around with it, and I know P-Man's probably going to have a few words.
Yep.
Yeah, you weren't a fan of the stealth aspect, were you?
Well, here's the whole thing. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of George R. R. Martin, so I don't know the source material as well as I actually should.
So
But-
something about jumping naked on trampolines.
I forget exactly how it went. It is, correct me if I'm right, P-Man, heavily mothering stealth-based.
Yeah, there is an active reward system. If you use the stealth, you actually get more XP if you manage to kill the Uruks while in stealth, but it's not mandatory. But yeah,
I was gonna say, aren't they orcs? Because Uruks were made by Saruman. Oh my god, nerds!
you're actually killing
Nerds!
Uruks in this game. But the first thing I noticed when I started the game was that there was a little thing saying WB Play or link your WB Play account. And I'm like, okay. So I click on it and it's like a little age gate. How old are you? Okay, I'm 29. You're not old enough to register your WB Play account to agree with the terms of service, whatever. I'm like,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. The age of consent in Portugal is like 38. So yeah.
But yeah, this, from what I played so far, this is a really, really good game. And I know we're still only in August, but unless someone really comes out of the blue and blows my mind, this is Linux Game of the Year 2015 for me.
Empty,
I'm-
what's the download on Brad? I heard that was a bit tough.
Took me about 6 weeks to download it over the fiber. I'm used to my games downloading in about 3 minutes, and this one I literally had to walk away and do something else. It's just
Because the server
unacceptable.
is located in Mordor. Incidentally.
Yes.
It also filled up a solid fifth of my SSD YOLO raids, so I had to remove other games to make space for it, and then it didn't work. I had a great
Yeah.
morning.
Oh yeah, no, it was brilliant. I had to download that too after I saw that when Empty put that in notes. I'm like, okay, will it work? Nope, run it from command line. Oh wait, no, you need all the libraries from Steam Runtime. Source that, run it. Yeah, it just doesn't work.
I fired it up
sure.
in GDB. And it
But
actually
get ready,
does sig
get
out.
ready, get ready to get skull fucked.
Yeah, man, the guys from over at Lab Zero, a couple of days ago, I think maybe it was a Friday night, Saturday or something, they said, hey, all,
Yeah,
we're looking for a few volunteers to test the Linux and Mac versions. We want people who are willing to put the game through its paces. So you could have sent an email to Earl or sent a private message and all that. And, a couple of people chimed in. There's been most of the other comments to that noise were people going, why didn't I see that? And I'm like, well, in fact, didn't you subscribe to the thread? There was
Yep.
actually one genuine comment in there that made me go, you got a point. Was, well, I backed this on the Kickstarter, and I was promised alpha and beta access to the game like everyone else. And I was like, dude's got a point. I mean,
Yep.
At the end of the day, beautiful party people, we all have a copy, and it runs. We'll give that.
it,
better late than
runs
never.
reasonably well too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Pretty well, yeah, no lie.
Well,
I mean,
any thoughts?
controller works, sound works, network multiplayer works out of the box. They recently pushed out a patch for cross-platform multiplayer if you're on the beta. But that's what you get when you port with SDL2. Everything just tends to work out of the box.
Yep.
But
And,
again,
this
Ven
game-
raises an incredibly salient point. Oh yeah, we need Mac and Linux beta testers, and you have all these people complaining from years and years and years ago, saying, "Well, we wanted alpha beta access because that's what we were promised," and they're completely ignored. That is a serious misstep on Lab Zero's part. But Ven, you have this rant in the show notes about how they really don't have an excuse regarding that, considering they're at least 6 times they made their Kickstarter goal 5 or 6 times over. So
No, you don't understand, Brad. My entire rant is invalid. They didn't mean to say that.
of
we
course
didn't
not.
mean the Linux version.
They took it down from the Kickstarter after the fact. Just, but okay. Why don't we talk about our experiences playing the game? I got my ass kicked by the AI because if you pair off against the male characters, they all have fuck you, corner you attacks that like have infinite combos that will go until you die. I found my cheap combo I was spamming and I just couldn't keep up.
My biggest experience, my largest problem with the game was, I don't know if this has been fixed yet, but randomly, more times often than not, though, in online multiplayer, hard kick or high kick, whatever you want to call it, the trigger right side trigger button on the X-Clone controller, fuck you, doesn't work because you, and that's why. But then just playing in local mode, it works, and I realized the Xbox X-Clone controller, rubbish. You do not, this game was not, I think this game was originally designed for the PS controller. So I broke out my Logitech Precision controller, and no issues with that. But J-Man, I also thought you had some issues with... Actually, let's go back to P-Man, because P-Man was the first person to ask me, how do you block, son?
Yeah, that's the thing, because I was playing it with the NVIDIA Shield controller here, and I was pushing back on this thing, and this game made me realize just how mushy this D-pad actually is. But I was pushing back, and I couldn't block. So Van was like, yeah, if you're blocking a low attack, you have to push down and block it. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the AI will switch that up really quick too in the tutorial. It's like, block these 10 attacks perfectly, or you got to start from scratch each time you get hit. I'm like, yeah, fuck that. What do you call it? I tested it with the PlayStation. I tested it with the PlayStation 4 controller.
There was a tutorial?
Yeah, there was a tutorial because I figured I should probably learn how to play this game.
Oh yeah, you had some issues with the Bluetooth, right?
No, so I tried it with these 2 controllers and the Xbox controller. The PlayStation 3 controller completely fucked. They acknowledged that in the forums. They said configure it through Steam runtime or Steam Big Picture mode, and we'll put out a patch. The PlayStation 4 controller DualShock over Bluetooth works pretty well though. Aside from the whole blocking mechanic is completely, you need to be pro 2012 Evo in order to have a chance at blocking shit. MT, what about you? You said you were kicking Sandy's ass earlier this week.
Oh yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. It worked pretty well. It's definitely a beta. There was some issues with the Steam overlay, getting stuck on and requiring you to exit the game. And then the other choice tidbit that I found was that there were 5 times as many Linux beta testers as Mac beta testers, according to the email. So in your face, zombie Steve Jobs.
In your face, indeed. How about you shove your cock in it?
Okay.
Up next.
That was my clever transition to the cockpit thing in distance.
Mm-hmm.
Distance.
Whoosh.
Oh, God.
Come on, Empty. It's your story.
Seriously. So, new distance.
Oh
Steam
no,
beta.
I have to talk on a podcast.
Easy on me, guys. I'm new. Anyway,
No!
I would
That
expect
excuse
no
never
less.
worked for me.
It seems
Anyway,
like the experimental build is out, right?
It is, and it has a new Unity 5 engine and a cockpit view. No longer do you drive from the bumper. You actually have a dash and a windshield and doors, and it's a good
Windshield
time.
wipers?
That
I don't think so.
kind of tickles me wanting to get a new steering wheel.
And I tried it with my steering wheel, and even locked to 90 degrees, you do not want to be going from 90 degrees left to 90 degrees right to 90 degrees left to 90. It's unpleasant. Stick with the gamepad or the keyboard.
I enjoyed it. I mean, you do have that cockpit view, and I mean, it's really the best speed racist game that you can actually get right now, currently on Linux, that doesn't suck. And
we'll talk about that in a little bit.
I get around to it. I enjoyed it. The cockpit view, and I was like, oh, that's neat. I'll never use that again. And yeah, I mean, just get in the experimental beta. It's a piece of cake. You just go in, right-click, boom, experiment, no passwords required. You'll get the Unity 5 sauce. They pretty much have all the physics worked out now, so it's not as janky as it was. And definitely take a look at Trackmogrify. And that's something that will all randomly spool up. I spanked Empty the other night, and after we were done with that, we got on multiplayer and had a few rounds, and it was pretty evenly matched. I think we had a generally good time, correct?
I enjoyed it very much, and playing distance was fun too.
All right. So,
But up next, the other racing game on Linux.
well, this is more of a kart racer. We have Coffin Dodgers Update 121. What is this? You never heard about it? Your geriatrics racing against death with a very poorly photoshopped Xbox controller. They didn't even try.
Fire the intern.
No. I think that was more of an MS Paint job than Photoshop.
Could have been. They added bots finally to the multiplayer. That's a big thing. Single player active all in this big. They fixed the floaty keep fit gran, whatever all that means. Improved ragdoll collision physics, which is kind of a big thing, because sometimes you would get hit and you would just ragdoll around for like 4 seconds. And in a racing game, 4 seconds is going to mean something, Brad. But the big thing they added is you actually get your flags when you're racing about, which is kind of neat. You can see here Japanese, Swedish, German, Brazilian.
You have something in the show notes, the title of the story. I completely misread that the first time I was browsing through that. I'm like, what?
Death flags. My biggest issue is like, can I upload my own flag? They're like, no, Vin, you can't, because we know what you would do. It's like, damn it. All right, fine. So
I was looking at their things, and the one that jumped out at me is like, we have also introduced 11 new achievements based around online gameplay. Dude, there's no one playing your game anymore. How the fuck am I supposed to unlock those achievements? There's no one fucking playing it.
which is kind of sad considering they gave this
you
thing
set up
away.
the netbook, you set up the TV box, and then you have yourself a good time beating yourself.
So sad, so sad. But unexceptional Mario Kart is unexceptional. That's all there is to it. It's not a bad
Hey.
game, but it's not a good game either.
At least, and I have to give the developers credit for this, at least they're maintaining it after they pushed this thing out. Because so many developers are just like, yeah, our game's out, yeah, whatever. At least
Give
these
us
guys are-
money.
At least,
Yeah, if there was anyone playing the game, that might have made sense, but there isn't.
but that's most games on Steam these days.
Speaking of things
But,
coming back from the dead, 7 Days to Die, the survival horde crafting game, zombie survival crafting horror game. Wow, this is a new genre. Eli's.
Look at that Doom 3 on the side there. There's a Doom 3 type of zombie.
No,
no, you got the window shrunken
The
down.
official
Can't see
alpha
it.
12.4, it's out. They got a bunch of changes and fixes. All you really want to know on your Linux box is if you're unfortunate enough that the developers gave you keys for this, which they did to us. I don't know what we did to deserve that. We
Me neither.
probably deserved it, to be honest with you, but I don't know how they knew what we were up to.
They know all.
With this update, this is the first time, mark you the first time at 1080p with a 980. I've actually seen it hit 60 with everything set to nope. Progress.
Last time I fired up this game, I had everything down to minimum, and I looked a certain way, and the frame counter went down to 18 frames per second. 18
What?
on a 970.
Funny story. I was actually clearing out some space on my SSD to install Shadows of Mordor, and I deleted this game, and then I went to the show notes. Oh, we're covering it. Yeah, I'm not downloading it again. Fuck that.
Empty, have you ever been blessed by this nightmare fuel?
I have not, nor will I. Zombie horror survival is
It's a unique
Done.
genre. It's a brand new thing. It's not been overdone. I mean, it is.
See, the
No.
short of having a zombie survival horror game set in the Thriller music video, I don't think I would ever be interested in this genre ever again.
Yeah. So,
It
the
needs more-
cats, the cradle, and the silver spoon, which
Oh.
Ven forgot to queue up.
You must have snuck that in there, son.
Cat,
This it was actually there since like Wednesday was when they sent us the keys, because yes, They were kind enough to send us some keys. And this
So
is
pervy.
as they describe
So
it,
pervy.
a what?
So pervy.
This is a sci-fi first-person view quest designed for the player to explore the surrounding world. AKA, we couldn't be bothered with actual mechanics, so we're just going to let you explore and figure out the parts that you need in order to reconstruct the robot girl that lives in your shack.
Yeah,
What you're
the
going to
trailer
do
has
with
her
that robot
seizing
girl.
up quite lovely.
I mean, who doesn't have a robot girl living in their shack? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. But yeah, it runs for
Flashlight.
13 euros around here. How much is that over there?
Yes.
Like, yeah. I think it actually is like
$12.99.
$13.
Yeah, it's regional
Yeah,
pricing.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. So, yeah, it is a Myst type puzzle game with some Minecrafty bits. Jordan didn't like those.
So I'm watching the trailer. I'm like, okay, so like, what do you need to do with this? Okay, it looks like they're just showing some gameplay footage, and then you have the complete tonal shift to Minecraft. I literally got whiplash watching this trailer. I'm like, nope, you've lost me.
I actually
So, yeah.
downloaded this game when it came out last week and tried it out for a while. It uses the Unigen engine,
Yeah.
which you don't
It's
really
a
see
bench-
too many
Oh,
of those.
shit, son. So this is the other game made with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oil rush in this.
And it is not hard on your eyes. I never got past like 30 frames a second though, and I haven't really given
Yeah,
it enough
it's
time
Unigine.
to.
That's Unigine for you.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
yes.
Kung Fu
But
fighting.
it's time for kung fu fighting. Actually, this seems to be a fighting. It's a card-based fighting game where you play your card and it determines what your character does. I won this for free at a convention. Kung Fu Fighting. It is literally the exact same game. I find that incredibly hilarious.
So it's Kung Fu
But
Poker?
yeah, no, this actually has an interesting pedigree because it was developed by one of the guys who actually worked on Street Fighter. Street Fighter 2, was it? No, Street Fighter HD Remix, so one of the new ones. But it's an interesting take on a card game where it's also a fighting game. And it has cross-platform multiplayer with the Mac version, the iOS version, so on and so forth. So that is a neat point. You don't see that too often in games. But I really don't think I'm going to be interested in this, despite the fact that you can play as the panda from Tekken. I prefer actual air juggling. Thank you very much,
Yes.
as opposed to card-based.
I don't know. When I was looking at this, I was like, for shits and giggles, if I came up with two genres that should never, under any circumstances, meet. And it's like somebody was listening in on that conversation and says, that sounds completely wrong. Let's do that. And here we go. Are you going to play it, P-Man? I don't play card games. Like this.
I don't dislike card games. In fact, that's the thing I played the most on this tablet I'm going to be returning soon. It's Hearthstone, but this one, no.
Mm.
I cast Fireball and then your tablet explodes.
Wind it down, baby.
All right, coming up next, shock! We talk about more drivers in the news section.
Gentlemen, boys and girls, this is usually the news segment, and we usually start with some drivers, but before we get to that, we have
How about some drivers of the Linux Gamecast business? Our lovely Patreons.
Yes, two of them this week, and a special one which has already joined us.
Not exactly two of them. TNT4IT has kicked in somewhat stinky, so he gets access to the videos a week before they come out. That's always nice. We're still hovering just over $100. Adam J has also given us is it a one-time donation or recurring over
A
PayPal?
recurring donation of 3.5 not wet stinky cashes through the old schools
Regular
with the
old sea
PayPals.
monster.
Right, you got to dig
Yeah.
that. I mean, some say he's a sea monster, but he really just
More-
wanted
more-
to give us about 350.
It's more of a
Yeah,
crustacean
but-
anyways. But again, we love our Patreons. They enable us to go out and buy games for our reviews, and they help with the cost of running this. Because, we're all independently wealthy. We just like to offload the cost of this entire train wreck onto you, the taxpayers. But We got lovely goals. We have some. The next goal coming up is actually the merch run. So if we get to $250 a show, we will actually start pumping out some shirts and some novelty quote unquote mirrors that you can use.
I definitely think one of them
recreation.
should just be called white stuff.
Yes, the smell of the white stuff. It's like a mug for your coffee.
Coming up.
Oh yes, it's the NVIDIA 352.30 drivers. Oh my god, it's a huge shock. We're talking about drivers on the LinuxGameCast in the news segment. They had some support for a new mobile GPU, the 910M for your really low budget. They have a bunch of VDPOW, VDPAU bugs that they fixed. Actually, this just contains most of what's in the changelog is just bug fixes. So that's good. Nothing groundbreaking. Did anyone install this?
Yeah, I did my install. Then I played some Shadow of Hordor and
Shadow Hordor.
Yeah, no, well, and Martin fucking created the entire genre, so yeah. Didn't notice anything significantly different, Brad. I mean, it works.
There's not.
Yeah,
It's just the whole bunch of VDPAU fixes like Jordan already mentioned, which makes me wonder, is this like foreshadowing, say, shadow play?
Why do you
Please?
think that?
that seems like a bit of an explosive revelation, wouldn't you say?
Have you tried them out on the 780?
I have, and they work.
They work?
No, nothing.
Okay.
All right, seems legit.
But you know what else just works? Your Radeon SI video card now. Tell them about it, Pedro.
Yep. Yeah, so last week we mentioned that the Nuvo drivers supported OpenGL 4.1. So AMD, the guys working on the open source AMD drivers, were like, yeah, the guys with the electron microscope just passed us, so we gotta fix that. And now the Radeon SI cards, which are the desktop Radeon HD 7000 series and up, or if you have an APU, it has to have one of the 8000 series to use the Radeon SI driver. If you have one of the 7K APUs,
What?
going to
R600? What?
yeah, it's going to use R600, and it kind of makes me wonder, why isn't R600 already supported, and what the hell is Intel doing? Seriously, they're the ones who supposedly contribute big time to the open source drivers, and they're not doing it.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here grinding my teeth waiting for Radeon SI to get OpenGL 4.1, or not Radeon SI, R600 to get OpenGL 4.1 support, so I can actually start playing games again on my APU. Oh!
Well, they got to get those drivers up to snuff, Brad, because I didn't actually visit the page, but I read that actually on Vote, believe it or not, because I'm spending some more time there.
All those lovely vote links are in our show notes, by the way.
Larabells
Yes.
apparently tested the Furry X, and it basically on par with the current Linux drivers as like a 600 series NVIDIA.
Yeah, 670. Was the
They said it was
670
between
or
the
the
660,
760, which are basically the same card?
970. It's
What
like in
does
the
it-
middle
Yeah.
there between the two of them.
Is the furry using the AMD GPU driver, or is it still on the Radeon SI?
Still on
It's still using FGLRX because Radeon SI doesn't support it yet.
All right.
Yep.
So what was that running on, like kernel 2.4.27.39?
With the GIMP help files installed.
With
Yes.
well, you
But,
cannot
FGLRX
cannot
works,
write off the GIMP help files.
It works in Ubuntu 14.04 LTS because it's still using the 3.13 kernel. So
Mhm.
All right, well, let's talk about some competition, because I hear it get
Unity!
shit done. Natasha Bard, she goes, oh my god, oh my G, WTF, BBQ, what an awesome
So
day,
MG.
exclamation point. We just shipped the first build of Unity 3D on Linux to our early access testers. Phrasing. If it's on early access, I should be able to go on Steam, because that's early access, son. What you mean is you've released a closed beta, and I want everyone in the Linux gaming community to remember that they've been working on it for years, and the sudden rush to get it out has nothing to do with that 2.8 release of Unreal Engine 4. And it's just working swimmingly on the Linux. No, it doesn't have anything to do with that. Trust me.
No, it's just progress after 2 years of people complaining, more Unity on Linux! But what I want to know is, can I click export on Linux and produce a Windows build? Because I would just love for that to happen. Yeah, I developed it on Linux. I clicked export. Should be fine on Windows.
No, you can. You just have to have a VC redistribute. I mean, you need Wine installed in order to do it. I mean, it's going to be brilliant.
You did .NET 4.0.
Unity on Wine, on Sigwin on Wine, on Unity. It's brilliant.
Hashtag mono. Come on. What are your thoughts?
I'm in. I love it.
All right. Up next, spoiler alert.
Oh man, this is a thing, right? Okay. Yes, our favorite friends who just got done porting Shadows of Hordor, Feral Interactive, for Monday Mysteries and Slice of UI from an explosive game. But what is the game? And what is the counter shot? And immediately everyone with this fucking Bioshock 2, dude. They kind of went, oh.
Listen, man, jet fuel can't melt underwater steel beams. Clearly, this is an inside job.
Literally, all you have to do is right-click that picture and Google search for it. That's it.
I don't know. I'm still waiting for if they are in fact going to port Bioshock 2. I'm still waiting for that to get scrapped and tossed off to virtual programming.
Yeah, well, 2K did commission virtual programming for Bioshock
Feral
Infinite.
did the Bioshock Infinite port for Mac, and then they're like, oh yeah, virtual programming, you do the Linux version. Because what? Let's just duplicate work. It's brilliant.
And remember, kids, the easiest way to find a virtual programming port as opposed to something that's genuinely been ported to Linux is when it's released at 75% off because reasons.
Or if it does, or try to run it on an AMD CPU. That's the other test.
Or a GPU for that matter. But then again, AMD kind of needs to get their shit together.
And did this anger and confuse you?
No, actually, I have my fingers crossed and a slight bit of hope that it will actually be a real port, because they did port Bioshock natively to iOS like a year ago, which means there is an OpenGL renderer for this game somewhere out there, which maybe they could... they're probably just going to use virtual programming. Who am I kidding?
Again, Feral did the Bioshock Infinite port for Mac. So, again, the code path must exist.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they're familiar with the source materials, familiar with how it was originally written, and I don't see this being a big issue for them at all.
It probably isn't brought to you by virtual programming. But up next, you guys remember Yahoo Games?
And eating ears?
Yeah,
Miniclip. I played a lot of Miniclip.
So this is 3D boxing, a technologically advanced super game from the minds that brought you, I don't know, Rock'em Sock'em Robots. No, it is essentially Java, and this is Java. You need Java 1.5 for the 3D version, Java 1.6 for the 2D version. Wrap your head around that. But it's 3D polygon Rock'em Sock'em Robots. They have a ladder. Apparently, Provodnikov is #1 there. So you might be, if you're into online boxing and you're a Linux user, you might be getting a Linux version underway soon. I mean, this is a Java game, so I'm curious how much porting is actually involved. But it's there.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. When I first saw it, I thought it was going to be like a Unity game, and I was like, fair enough. I was like, Java? The hell's your excuse not to release it to fucking Linux then? I mean, you don't...
Write once, run in a couple places, maybe.
Perhaps.
What would you know
about
Yeah, pretty much.
Especially
for 3D.
Ready for it? Competitive point-and-click boxing online.
No, do you know what? There's something that's due for a rebirth, and it's not Java.
Wait, hang on. Does maybe if this game included Norm Macdonald voicing a sarcastic pigeon, then would you play it?
It'd have to be Liam Neeson.
and they'd have to have like hidden object puzzles in there too, of course. you gotta solve your mystery.
All right, since we're just making shit up, come on.
Yeah. So the guys from the Open Pandora are starting.
It's running XFCE. Oh my god!
Yes, they've already started to work on their new handheld, which they're calling the Pyra. So it is. We
Look at it.
actually mentioned the Pyra a couple of months ago. It's running the Cortex A15 supposedly, and a whole bunch of. It's basically a glorified smartphone for you to play games with a QWERTY keyboard on it, and they actually haven't built anything. All those pictures you can see on the link that'll be in the show notes on Pandora Info. It's all rendered. It's all 3D renders
Pandora
of what
Live
it may look like. Yeah.
First thing I thought when I saw that, I was like, oh, Brad, come here. Let's hang out for a minute, Brad. You understand that Nintendo is actually porting games to mobile devices because, well, yeah, it's kind of like we're like little easy games like that are fun to fucking play. They're like, but we rendered hardware pictures. It's really a thing. And I'm like, wait, Brad. You start petting him, and you're like, calm down. You realize that, nobody really bought the open Pandora, right? And it was kind of overpriced for what it was. And Brad didn't have anything to say. I'm not sure this is a good idea.
I got a bit of a truth bomb for you.
Go ahead.
Nintendo is not actually porting their games. They are licensing their properties, just like they did with Philips, to mobile game companies to produce mobile games.
And that's why, okay.
That'll end great,
huge difference.
But yeah, this thing, that it hits that same niche that the PSP in its latter years did, which is a glorified emulator box. And there's a whole bunch of people who can't get through the day without playing their Zeldas and their Sonics and their Pokemons.
I don't know. There's always going to be that niche market who wants this type of device, and I say, let them sit in their corner and have their fun playing Battle for Wesnoth. Oh wait! Oh, the Wesnoth people need your help. They have this lovely little blog post they posted last Sunday. They need help. They need C++ programmers. They need Python programmers. They need people who know WML. Because people are losing interest in this project, and no one really wants to develop this game that's been around for how long?
Billions of years ago in the future's
billion
past.
years.
I was kind of terrified about this, Brad, because this is something I write in the show notes that I put. I was afraid this would happen at some point, hopefully later than sooner, but this kind of came up on me pretty quick, giggity. It's that a lot of people, especially filthy dual-booting heathens, think Linux gaming equals Steam, which, as much as we love the gaming and all that business, which is Steam is, for the most part, kind of locked in. You don't really technically own your fucking games and all that. And they're just kind of forgetting about these open source projects that have been around since I started gaming on Linux in 1995, and my lawn, you can get the fuck off of it.
Battle for Wesnoth, the 1.0 version didn't hit until 2005.
It's open source, man. Come on, that's progress.
Yeah.
I mean, Tuxcar's on like 9.109 or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, Ben, I think you actually bring up an interesting point. At least I think there might be some correlation, but you have to consider that a lot of these projects have been running for a while already on minimal staff. We've seen I think we've already seen a couple of games like this just nope because they just don't have the time and the inclination.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, a lot of the people who are actually writing these open source projects to begin with were people on Linux who are like, well, I want to play game X, but it's not available. So screw it. I'm going to make my own Blackjack and Hookers. But now you have Civilization and you have XCOM and you have all these games on Linux, 4X strategy games, real-time strategy games.
Well, speaking about Civ X,
and that itch has been scratched.
Bring it to me, baby.
Who needs free Civ when you've got Civ 5 and Beyond Earth? Who needs Open XCOM and UFO AI when you've got, XCOM Enemy Unknown, and I think Farrell's doing XCOM 2 at some point here.
Yep.
And I would like to personally thank Farrell and Aspire for killing open source gaming on Linux.
Yeah.
Show
I think
title.
It's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to keep these projects going, if nothing else as a learning experience, because there are a lot of quote-unquote developers on Steam that have no fucking clue how to actually develop a game.
Pedro, you forget, they have
Unity.
access to the asset store and Stack Exchange. They don't need to know.
Yeah.
Not only is it a learning
Apparently.
experience, though, but these games have system specs that are so low, you could run them on a calculator or a digital
you can
watch.
run them on an open Pandora.
Yes.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Okay.
And, Civ 5,
Showtime! Hong
Not so
Kong
much.
Phooey.
not so much.
Tell me about it. Never heard of it.
Shadowrun Hong Kong finally announces a release date 6 months after their Kickstarter closes. 6 months. This has got to be a new world record for turnaround on a Kickstarter game. It's magical.
Whoa.
I love it.
Well, okay, so if you think about it though, if you looked at Dragonfall is just another Shadowrun campaign. They have their framework built. They have their tools built. All they have to do now is plot it out and actually just write the levels.
Wait,
Create
Jordan,
levels.
didn't you say that
That's
they did something insane, like build a very good framework in order to build new scenarios and levels on top? That's stupid.
I
Who
know.
would do
It's
that?
almost as if they followed in Neverwinter Nights' footsteps and created
the
comprehensive
Aurora
tools.
toolset.
Yeah, that even players can use. That these guys actually eat their own dog food and produce high quality games for this. I would call Shadowrun Returns sort of like a meta game, sort of like how Half-Life was originally. Counter-Strike was originally a Half-Life mod. Team Fortress was originally a Half-Life mod. It is an ecosystem for making this type of RPG, and it's a good idea. It lets you quickly release games in reasonable quality.
Okay.
Go on.
No, I mean, these guys have just crushed it out of the proverbial park every single mothering time. Even before they were like, okay, we're not sure when we're going to get that Linux version out, but they're like, here you go. Here's some keys. Here's the complete version. When it's ready, you'll have it. And, I mean, they were that shows a lot of confidence in one's project right there. I mean, here,
And they
Cocaine
released- they
Voltron enjoys these critters, and you should give them all your monies. Go ahead.
Yeah, and they managed to release a working Linux port of their game on the Unity engine at the time where every single Unity port sucked big tits.
Pedro, you got to understand, if you know what you're doing, Unity's a fantastic engine.
But you
If
have
you
to know
know
what you're doing. And all things considered, I still need to finish Dragonfall, the one that came out.
Yeah, so do I.
The last
so
one.
do I.
Yeah, I still need to
me
finish
too.
that one.
Oh, it's not
It-
good
it-
wasted. Two.
All right.
That's so
and then,
wasted.
In our next bit of
Wait a minute, is
Kickstarter
that Rob Zombie in the
Linux gaming
background?
news, we've got
the ditches and
Burn through the witches.
and slab.
Shut
in
up
the
before
back
we
of
get
my
taken down by
Scorpion
YouTube.
tank.
All right.
don't mess with the Scorpion Tank. It will fuck you up. Wasteland 2 Director's Cut has finally announced a release date too.
Wait.
we've got
Director's cut. Is there
October
going to be more
13th.
male genitalia?
Snip, snip.
Come on.
This is amazing. In Exile is just killing it. This game has been out for a year already, and they're still upgrading to Unity 5 and adding all sorts of Fallout features to the game, like limb targeting and perks. and
Shoot for the
quirks.
groin. Always
need,
shoot for the
need
groin.
more VATs. Need more VATs. But
It's
again,
already turn-based.
Shh. No, and much like Hairbrain, this is another studio that has taken the Unity engine and produced proper Linux games for it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Exile has been doing a fantastic job. Pedro will just talk your ear off about how awesome Wasteland 2 is.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here masturbating and waiting for Torment to come out.
Tides of Numenera. But yeah, I'm growing.
I bought the box
you're
set,
growing, aren't
motherfucker.
you?
I'm waiting for that.
In your pants.
This is a special message to Mr. Brian Fario. Don't let me down, man. Don't let me down.
Bruce. And I'll tell you what's wrong before we get off the floor. We're doing the Chairquisition on Victor Vran up next. The chairs have brought forth an agent to go out and fight vampires. He's come back and he must face the Chairquisition. This is Victor Vran from Himmelmont Games. This is developed on a custom in-house engine. You might have heard of it. It's powering the game Tropico 5, aka Sin Dictator. Does a brilliant job about that. It's anywhere from 20 wet stinky euros to 30 Canadian wet stinky bucks. It's dripping. It's just dripping in maple syrup. It's brilliant. But what is it? Victor Vran is the isometric action RPG where your skill is just as essential as your character build and gear. Experience intense action, dodge, jump, and unleash powerful skills to finish off your enemies. And with all games that face the CHAIRQUISITION, they must face the CHAIRQUISITION. 1 chair means that it's garbage. 2 chairs means that it's pretty good. 3 chairs means that it's awesome. And 4 chairs means that it's super special, chocolate fudge, mega, super, ultra rich, awesome. We also have our categories of doom mixed with the working, shiny sounds, controls, and fun. Don't know what these mean. Then you have serious mental deficiencies. Your brain is like Empty's face, just terrifying. So, mixed with the working. Ben.
Over here, on the Kombuntu 1404 LTS, 8150 octo-core 980 powered 4K displayed box of business. It just works. I mean, even in early access, we've had this since billions of years ago in the future. And it genuinely has always just worked. Now, I'll get into controllers later, but even in Genesis, when we first got a hold to the Linux version, I was going to reach over here, and I poke at the controller organ, and things moved, and they worked, and that was brilliant. Good times were had by all. But you're asking, how does it work at 4K? Completely mothering playable. It is. It's brilliant. So, makes with the working 4 chairs.
Yeah, on the Fedora 21 or 22 powered 64-bit AMD 1090T with the GTX 980 and the not so latest NVIDIA drivers anymore. Yeah, out of the box it worked. Early access, they did have some issues with controller support, but that has all been sorted out. Now, and you might also remember this had an issue with Thuban-based processors, or the engine at least did back when Tropico 5 was out, but not in this game. Runs right out of the box, 4 chairs.
Yep. And on the AMD FX 8370E, which is now overclocked to 4.2 gigahertz, with the NVIDIA GTX 970 Strix from Asus, using the latest drivers on Aurora 2164-bit. Everything worked out of the box. It at 1080p, with everything cranked up to 11, it holds 100 plus FERPs just about everywhere except near the transmutator in the hub. But that's not enough for me to ding it a chair, so it gets 4 of them.
All right, on the Kubuntu 1404 64-bit 1100T GTX 780 Ti powered box of insane mayhem, it runs perfectly. The first time I started it up, it played for about 5 minutes and then just noped me back to my desktop. But I've rebooted in the meantime, and it has run flawlessly for hours since then. So I'm going to guess that was my fault and not the game's fault. 4 chairs.
All right, so that's 4 chairs to mix with the working. Up next is the shiny and the sound. So Ben, take it away.
All right, Brother Sveng. The first few areas in this game, they're hell of impressive. For a Linux game, I hate to say that, but that's a real fact that we have to deal with in 2015. Unfortunately, the later areas/dungeons, they kind of look like placeholders, and, well, Brad, it seems like the developers kind of got to the end of that process and said, yeah, it looks good enough, fuck it, leave them in. Same goes for the baddies. Yes, I'm looking at you, Mr. Iceball Pants, and you, Mrs. Foo-Foo Rocky Monster. Yes, you know what I'm talking about if you played this game. But let's talk about some good things, man. The sound's a bit of all right sauce. You kind of like that. Explosions and thwacks, for the most part, they're genuinely satisfying. However, the voiceover guy, well, Brad, that should have been me. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give that 3 chairs for the shinies and the sounds, because I think it's a bit of all right.
Yeah, Ben touched on this a little bit. The levels can get kind of samey, especially. It's not impossible to get lost if you've been fucking around with the camera, because you'll get turned around and everything still looks the same regardless of what angle you're looking at it at. And, sometimes you'll get turned around. The visuals themselves are pretty good. Solid for a Linux game. The engine that Hememont is using is pretty solid. I wouldn't go out of my way to say that they are completely balls to the walls, awesome, but it's good, it's solid, it's better than PlayStation 3 level graphics, or actually, it's about the same. Actually, what this game really reminds me of is Force, just sort of the visual style and how everything
It's
together.
better than Force.
Love's better than Force. It still reminds me of it. Either way. The voice work is all right. The cutscenes are okay. I'll usually just skip over them because I really don't care. I want to get back to killing skeletons with a wave of shotgun bullets, and the pew pews work. It's all good. 3 cheers.
Yeah. So I'll touch a bit on the voice acting in the fun section. I'll explain why at that time. But yeah, the graphics look good. The sound in general is satisfying, like Ben already mentioned. But I was looking at the options menu, and I'm scrolling through the anti-aliasing options, and I'm like, there's something missing here.
Yes, it's the one that cripples NVIDIA cards.
Yeah,
It
where
works.
did MSAA go? I'm like, I remember this had an MSAA because at one point me and Ven were like swapping screenshots to tell the difference between one level of MSAA and the first we were getting and another. So I'm like, well, where'd they go? But yeah, FXAA, it works. You don't see any jaggy, so good on them for that. So it gets 3 chairs.
A leprechaun.
Thank you.
No, Mr. Leprechaun,
now
get
that Jordan
away
has
from
mentioned
me!
it, I do see a touch of Forest in there. I also immediately thought Torchlight 2. Maybe
With
a little
jumping.
better than Torchlight 2. The other thing is that the sounds and the audio are better than your average bear. At one point, the narrator sang the Brave Sir Robin Ran Away song from
Oh yeah,
Monty Python's
I
Holy Grail.
remember that. Yeah.
Brave
Except
Sir
he sang
Victor
it Brave
ran
Sir
away.
Vran Ran Away, and I really liked that. 3 chairs.
All right, so that's 3 whole chairs for Shiny and the Sounds. Up next is the Control.
Well, Brad, get a look at this. Keyboard and gerbil work like you would expect after you quit bitching. But why would they use WAS controls? I want to point and click and fuck my fucking gerbil over left and right constantly and buy a new
Tank
one.
controls.
That happens, but wrap your minds around this, gentlemen. You know, I've never played an action RPG that just worked trademark with a controller. Speaking of that, we got the X-Load controller right over here. And I reckon this could very well be the best adapted ARPG control scheme in the world. It genuinely works like that. It's a bit of all right. I take Torchlight, for example. I guess maybe there was some way to adapt that to a control. This, out of the box, is how I learned how to play it. It just works, and that's a good thing. This is the first type of hack and slash type deal that I would say, hey, this would be great. If you have a Steam box, you got your mates over, hook it up, and let's play it and get it on. Then you play the game. So, man, just a bunch of awesome sauce here. I'm going to give it 4 chairs.
Yeah, the controls really remind me of Forest, and holy shit, something went. No, it's so fun. Yeah, no, going back to the Forest analogy. Yeah, it really does remind me of that with the controls. Back when I was playing this in early access, I was stuck using WASD because the particular Xbox controller I had plugged in at the time did not want to play nice with Victor Vran out. When Ven said, "Hey, you haven't been playing with the controller," I'm like, "There's controller support." But I gave it a whirly bird with the DualShock 4. The DualShock 4.
Where's the water?
The one that I didn't just drop and spill water everywhere. It works out of the box. The key prompts are still for the Xbox controller, so there's
One
like
thing
a
I want to
split
ask
second
you, can I ask you? Because I
Sure.
forgot to mention, how did you deal, if you've tried it with the controllers, because I forget to mention, it is kind of a bit shit sorting your cards and inventory.
Yes, it is, because there is a specific button for each slot that you put stuff in. And if you're not paying attention to the absolute bottom of the inventory card on the screen, you're not going to notice that. It's like, why can't I equip 2 weapons? Oh, because I have to press the square button or the B button on the Xbox controller to equip it to the right hand and the A button to.
But that's more of it's your own damn fault for not paying attention, right?
Yeah, it's more of that. The potions are a bit weird too because you have to use the directional keys to use bombs or grenades or potions. But I mean, once you get the hang of it, it's flawless. There's no input lag, nothing. Everything does what you expect it to do, and yeah, 4 chairs.
All right, and both the NVIDIA Shield controller here and the PS2 DualShock that I currently have plugged into the Steam box, they all worked out of the box. They all have their own shortcomings. The NVIDIA Shield controller, the touch bits are not SDL2 compatible yet. NVIDIA kind of needs to fix the firmware on that, please. But they worked. Everything that usually works with other games also worked with this one. The mapping was sensible for once, so good on them for that. But it is also perfectly playable with the gerbil and the keyboard if you're weird like me, because I actually prefer to play it with the gerbil and the keyboard.
Freak.
Yeah, so it gets 4 chairs for me.
Now, Pedro, I am weird like you. You are talking to the guy who plays racing games on the keyboard, but
Even burn him.
That's why you get beat.
I fired this thing up. I started playing it on the controller. I was like, hey, this is pretty nice. I should try it on the keyboard. Maybe next level. Maybe next. Nah, never even tried it on the keyboard because the controller just works too damn nice. And then I discovered a little bit of beautiful, extra tasty sauce where when you're fighting, you don't even need to mash on the X button. You can just hold it down. So your thumb starts getting all tired from wailing on the smash button. And you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to press that down and just, oh, hey, look, I'm wailing on everybody and I'm not doing a damn thing. It's great.
Your thumb got tired?
Yes, it did.
So you masturbate with your left hand. All right, gotcha.
No, that's more of a wrist action than a thumb action.
You keep telling
For
yourself
you,
that.
I don't
maybe.
even know.
Tell us the chairs. Tell us the chairs.
4 chairs.
All right, so that's 4 chairs for control. And finally, our subjective category, fun. Ben, did you have fun?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Playing
boys
Victor
and girls,
Vran?
gather around and let's talk about Victor Vran. Yeah, I mean Vran.
I see what you did there.
Oh, it's supposed to be funny. No, it's not. It's more of an action versus RPG when you think about this. And that is not terribly a bad thing. You see, I've never been a fan of the typical ARPGs because, for me, managing stats is something better left to my accountant. And, to be perfectly honest, card systems anger and confuse me. However, Mr. Vran is extremely light in both of these areas, so there was a chance that I might possibly enjoy it. And I did. I spent most of my time running about collecting weapons and upgrading my special attacks. Only later did I explore the card system, and after some fuckery I became near unstoppable. At level 25, good times were had by all. And, well, that's just the good. Let's talk about the bad, because we're just going to be honest here. Anyone have the slightest idea what the fucking story is?
Nope.
Kinda, sorta. Not really.
You know, I have over 24 hours in this game, and I played like 4 hours, maybe 6 hours in pause on Shadow of Hordor, and I know what the story is in this game. Victor Vran, fuck all idea what the story is supposed to be. I'm guess what I'm trying to say. It's genuinely that forgettable. And then, right before the end of early access, they introduced a crafting system that is so poorly explained, you might as well just leave it the fuck alone, because you will end up destroying perfectly good fucking items, going, what is this? Oh, fuck. Whatever. But on top of that, playtime is artificially extended by collecting stars and applying mutators to each dungeon. I'm sorry, I mean, that's just a cheap way of getting around a shorter game, and everything after level 20 becomes a grindfest and multiplayer, as we've experienced both with J-Man and myself and T-Han and myself. It's completely fucking unbalanced. I mean, there's nothing really to make that legit, but if you mix all that nasty sauce in with a 10-hour completion time for a hack and slash in action RPG clothing, well, at the end of the day, I honestly have to say it's still a better love story than Gauntlet. So I'm going to give it 2 chairs.
You know, just like the setting and the setup of this game, it really does remind me of sort of a budget Bloodborne, especially with the 2 weapon sets. You basically pick your 2 weapons, and then you have that. Like Ben said, the system, the stat system is light but surprisingly deep, because you can
Kinda go
really
both ways,
customize.
yeah.
Yeah, you can really customize your character depending on how you want to play. Like for me, I go with all the explosion and the lifesteal cards, and then I have the shotgun that gets really
But there
easy
is no
critical hits on
class
mooks.
system.
Yeah, there is no class system. You basically just your choice of weapons determines your secondary abilities. And since you have 2 potential. You have 6 abilities that you can make use of, plus your bombs, plus your spells, plus your cards giving you additional benefits. It is light if you want it out of the way, but there is significant depth to it, and I do like that. It can be a bit easier at times if you have your right setup. You can just mow through enemies, and levels basically become long just because you're running around picking them off one by one, and until they're whittled down enough that you can go and melee and finish them off. And yeah, vampiric shotgun, really super easy for that. And what the nice thing is, you can sink many hours into this game and not really realize it at the time. The one thing that really bugs me though, they haven't fixed it since early access. Save points are few and far between. So if you want to take a break, too fucking bad. You're starting back from the castle. At least you keep all your equipment. At the end of the day, it is a mediocre it is a solid Torchlight like action RPG. I had fun with it. I'm gonna keep playing it. I'll give it 3 chairs.
It's a Torchlight. But yeah, I'd give it 4 chairs for the fun, weren't it for the fact that it tickles the completionist side of my brain with those side objectives that you get for each dungeon. It's like, oh, you'll get a chest if you don't take any damage and kill 500 spiders in 2 minutes. Oh, what's that? A tiny ass spider kind of snuck up on me.
No,
and
you have to
dealt
do that upside
1
down
point
with
of
4
damage.
mutators applied on a Tuesday.
And the game's
While
like, yeah,
singing
you
the
took
Star-Spangled
1
Banner.
damage. Better luck next time, dumbass. So yeah, and that kind of leads me into the next reason that I can't give it 4 chairs, which is whenever you start a dungeon, usually Vicky or the voice guy kind of have a little plot dump that they do. And the voice acting is all right, but when you listen to it 10, 15, 20 times in a row because you're repeating the same dungeon again and again and again, trying to get all the stars, like I did, because I'm an idiot, it gets kind of annoying. How about, this is a suggestion for Hammermont Games, how about you make it so that the voices only play the first time you get through the dungeon. After that, everything's quiet. You can still get the little subtitles up on the screen, that's fine. Just don't have them speak. I was getting real fucking tired of listening to the voiceover or Vicky or whomever it was that was
Like I said,
speaking
I
at the
should have
time.
been the voice person. Then you would never get
Yeah.
tired.
So
I'd just be all, shut up then.
Exactly. You would argue.
you know,
instinctively.
if Ven was actually the voice person, I might actually give it 4 chairs. But it's not the case. That said, though, it is a pretty good game. I'd say, personally, it's worth the $20 admission price if you like hack and slashers and want one with a slight twist on the genre. Because, hey, jump button for the win. 3 chairs.
Yeah, so I put in like 4 hours, and already by hour 3, it was starting to feel a little bit repetitive. It did do a really good job with the just one more mission, just one more chest, just kill all the bad guys kind of OCD completionist type thing. It's kind of like Torchlight 2 and Diablo 3 had a baby, and it's quite a bit of fun to play with. 3 chairs.
All right, so that's 2 whole chairs for fun. If we tally this entire mess up, it is 3 chairs on the CHAIRQUISITION scale. Oh god, my heartburn. It's so terrible. Not like this game, which is pretty good. Yeah, definitely pick this up. If this goes on sale for dirt cheap, grab it. It runs smoothly. The guys at Hammermont did a fantastic job, and they deserve your support.
They did a fantastic job, and we'll get around to some final thoughts, so I'll take step one on this. We didn't get Gauntlet.
This is true.
This, I mean, I hate to break it to you, ladies and
blue.
gentlemen, and the developers, like, but this is a hack and slash game with some ARPG elements maybe kind of in there on the side that you can kind of also completely fucking ignore and still have a good time.
Yep.
That's kind of my point. If you want something to team up with your mates and just get in some dungeons and fuck around for a few moments, just do it and enjoy it. At 19.99 wet stinky caches, maybe local multiplayer, maybe wait till this thing goes on, 10% off or something like that. If you're kind of curious as like I am, because I put more time into this, just talking about exploring areas than I did Torchlight 2, because I hated the control scheme. I was like, oh, God, this is destroying my new Turbo EP and YOLO Extreme Logitech mouse, but I can play those with the controller. You can sit back and comfortably and actually play the game. When I say that, I mean it. You can play the game just as effectively as you would with a keyboard and gerbil. So, yeah, just keep that in mind.
I would say even more so, actually.
We got shot on with Gauntlet. This is our Gauntlet, and show these guys for actually releasing this damn thing on Linux and not noping out, and support developers that do. Pedro?
No, this is our Gauntlet. This is our Van Helsing. This is a very... No, it's not Bloodborne. Even with the hexes that sort of put you a little put you behind a little... They give you some hindrances.
Pedro, do you have any legendary
monsters.
weapons?
The one. Just the one.
I got the hammer. That was the first one I got after
I got
20
the
hours.
scythe.
All right.
Which was kind of amazing. But yeah, you can activate those hexes to make the game slightly harder, but it's only artificially harder because the monsters get more health and they get regeneration, which means that it just makes them annoying. Sometimes you'll get like 100 damage out of the
what
blue
about the
with one of the
star-shaped,
hexes.
sunglass-wearing dancing skeletons?
Yes, you do get to do the Gangnam style dance if you get hit by one of those. There's actually an achievement for that, but it is a very good game. It's not going to change anyone's mind when it comes to hack and slashers, but if you like hack and slashers already, get this one.
The saving point of this game is how awesome it works from a controller. You can just lean back, mash away on your buttons, or hold them down to continuously attack. And it's fun. I mean, it's easy to nitpick and, find all sorts of little things that are not so great, like the background music. Nobody commented on the background music. You know why?
It's kind of forgettable.
There was background
But-
music?
There's a
Yes,
story.
there was. But when it comes down to it, you lean back, you've got your controller, you're smashing skeletons.
Got some lotion.
What more could you ask for?
Yeah, it's a fun game. And that a lot of games just fail to deliver having fun. And definitely check this game out. Up next, your hate mail. Apparently we deal with quite a bit of racism if these letter titles are to be believed.
Shut up,
Check it
Canadian.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's the hate mail. Let's get onto it, shall we? We got 3 little bits of hate mail. The first one comes from Bony Ghost. He talks about Black Y'all. The developer blacklist is a fucking great idea. These hucksters should be called to task for taking money and not delivering.
Pedro, what the hell is he talking about? This is Moonspeak.
Yes, you may remember last week we discussed the fact that Gauntlet was not coming to Linux, and Van suggested that we should do a development.
It was I who suggested that, man.
Okay, it
Stop
was
trying to
Jordan
give Ben
who
credit
suggested.
for all my good ideas. And then taking all
your
Ben's
good idea.
But yes, I
Hey,
very much
there were
agree.
2 ideas. It's plural now.
But yes, I very much agree that we should, in fact, blacklist these developers. So, people who are new to Linux gaming or are filthy dual booting heathens know who not to give money to.
Well, we gotta explore this intellectually as carbon-based entities that you lot are.
I'm silicon-based, but whatever.
That's brilliant.
I don't know what you guys use for the clones, but I don't think it's carbon.
Okay, all right, brilliant. That's kind of a problem with the filthy dual wielding heathens. It's like, well, I already got it on Windows. Who cares about the Linux port? And they just don't have the genuine outrage because somehow in their twisted little reptilian minds they think that we are the entitled ones somehow. Like,
Oh, yeah, no,
motherfucker,
we're totally...
you who fucking cares about that? I can run it on my fucking Windows box. It's like, that sounds pretty fucking entitled. We're just asking for, I don't know, parity.
I more or less agree with Ben, where the majority of Linux gamers are not, in fact, Linux exclusive gamers. They'll dual boot, and then they'll say, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter," and they'll spend their money anyways. I think it is certainly nice from like an emotional play. Oh yeah, fuck these guys. But will it really create any benefit, or will it just be another list upon the endless lists of top 10 bullshit
if
on the internet?
enterprising young lass or non-lass wants to get out there and linuxblacklist.com, if you want to come up with that, we'll be more than happy to roll on with that idea, because this is Linux Gamecast, Cocaine Voltron, son. We will go scorched earth policy on these fuck motherers.
Yeah, it seems
what are
like...
your thoughts?
I don't know. We can't even get people to not buy Eon ports, so
They're learning, Brad. They're learning. They're like, oh, but
they work after 7 months.
right, 3 patches later maybe, but it's a good idea. I don't know how effective it would be, and it's probably just a better idea to go on a game by game basis than to just like try to chuck a whole company.
No.
I mean, it's
no. See, this is where we're getting in a fight. But let's go ahead to round 2.
It seems to have
It's
resonated
round
with a
2.
couple people, because Don also
Yeah.
says he's all for the gaming blacklist. That way we don't waste our hard-earned money on
Racist.
studios. Sorry,
Studios.
Tweetos.
and Studios and developers that fake Linux support like that. Sweetos is a show title, if I've heard one.
It sounds
Sweetos.
delicious.
But yeah, no, it's if developers pull stunts like the whatever the fuck their name was from Gauntlet 2,
Arrowhead.
Arrowhead, yeah. I say scorched earth policy with these guys. Do not give them any money.
I mean, Pedro,
mention,
this is
do not
Linux
talk about
Gamecast.
them.
We don't have another policy handy. It's not like we're doing this because we're awesome. We're just
I
too.
thought our
Everyone-
policy was do
everyone-
cocaine.
We're just a bit thick. That's kind of our only policy. We're like, yep, scorched earth. Good, done.
Thing is,
Isn't
people
it-
in the Linux
Cocaine
community
gets shit
seem to
done.
think that we're assholes, and everything we say, people should
Pedro,
not
you
listen to.
mean you say bad things about developers, and we should be all.
Yes, we should all thank them for the shit-stained breadcrumbs that they give us when we're paying the price, as everyone else is, for a full loaf of bread.
Now let's have the fun
Yeah,
time.
where are the
Explain to me
assholes?
again, MT, why we shouldn't completely blacklist, that's racist, a developer.
Isn't that the
Because-
whole point of the show, to like try out the games and be like, this one is worth it, this one is not worth it?
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about developers who will take money, who will
Mhm.
make promises saying we will give you Linux support
7 months
and
in
then
advance.
never deliver.
Arrowhead has pulled an especially awful maneuver here. I'm not trying to deny that.
Try getting a
Um,
refund.
Yeah, you probably can't.
No, charge
But-
back on your credit card.
That's
Uh,
probably the only way. And they maybe deserve a special treatment, but is this happening all the time now?
No, but here's the
I
whole
don't know.
point.
Are UN
Here's
ports
what
still
we're trying
happening?
to say to you, MT. Maybe if we put a mechanism in place to go, ding, 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 shame. ding 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 ding, shame, body double, ding 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 ding, shame.
Still a damn good body double. I'll
Isn't
give it
that what we already do every time a Eon port comes out? We're like, no, it's Eon, stay away, run!
But again, we're not talking about Eon. We're talking about people like formerly Skullgirls, formerly the
Carmageddon,
Star Citizen
Strider,
books.
look, Strider, right there, boom, Carmageddon.
Carmageddon.
Armageddon.
Yeah, sure. There are several examples out there, and it's certainly going to continue when people realize, oh, there's not enough market for SteamOS currently. We're gonna we'll get to it later.
And-
Look at what Larian did with Divinity. They promised twice that they'd give us Linux ports, and then they've gone on to a new game. And this current time around, they're doing an enhanced edition of a game. Yeah, we'll get to those other platforms.
Here's something, just outside of like hate mail. Did everyone hear that Mighty Number 9 has been delayed until 2016?
Why?
It's a fucking Unity game. What? Maybe they're sorting things, getting things right. But I'm kind of worried about this, Brad, because they have another Kickstarter up right now for another game, and a lot of people went, oh, hell's nah. And
Yeah.
like yoink that. So, just basic QA.
Okay,
shit.
you've sold me on the blacklist. Let's do it.
Okay, let's just get James Spader and we're good. This is from Frederick, and he's talking about Portal, and he says, "Who knew Canadians could solve puzzles not involving opening a vat of maple syrup? Impressive, most impressive." Well,
what
actually-
was he talking
my-
about? I mean, this is crazy sauce. I don't know.
oh yeah, he's talking about our Portal 2 playthrough. 'cause
Portal
we
2?
made it
How,
to
okay,
100 bucks.
wait, I
Yeah.
can't see Portal 2. I've never heard of it. How do you watch Portal 2?
Well, you go to patreon.com/LinuxGameCast and you give us 5 cents an episode, and then you can
What?
see Portal 2
Wait,
right away.
wait. You mean I can just give you 5 cents and I can watch that?
Yeah, or you can wait until next week and Ben will post it. It's a early bonus for our wonderful Patreon backers who enabled us to do that by donating $100 a show. But the secret to my puzzle solving abilities is I just visualize a vat of maple syrup at the other end of it, and then I can solve it.
That's sweet syrupiness.
I love it all over my body. And on that,
And that look cues up right there. You can always find me. I'm at Vin Stone on the Twitter, and that's cleverly disguised on the G pluses at Vin Stone.
you can find my erotic maple syrup covered selfies at the Burning Pool on Twitter, or occasionally plus swung on the Google Plus.
You can watch me being poor and Portuguese at Unaccounted For on Twitter or Plus Pedro Mateus on Google Plus.
You can catch my 5,000 calorie a day Wolverine ass at the Real Leprechaun on Twitter, which is not really my Twitter handle at all, or plus Mike Tehan on Google Plus.
So, just remember, beautiful party people, zombie demon hordes. At the end of the day, blacklists are not racist. They're necessary. What?
Necessary racism.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The scorched earth is pretty dark.
So are you.
I still like the analogy comparing
Kill 'em
black people
all!
to 5 dudes.